Hey yo, what up? What up? It's Lamech with Selah Sports TV back at it again. Cheer. Well, last night, Shakur Stevenson was able to retain his, I want to say, WBO title over Artem Haratunian. We remember Artem Haratunian. We last saw him. Most of us last saw him going up against Frank Martin, giving Frank Martin all he can handle. Um, but as most of us knew, Shakur Stevenson and Frank Martin are in two different worlds. No, they're in two different galaxies. How about that? Two different galaxies. As we saw, I don't really like to do. I don't really like to do triangle theories. Like this guy beat this guy, and that guy beat this guy, so this guy can definitely be. Like we can't deduce things in boxing that way. But I will say this: like the problems that Artem Haratunian was able to give Frank Martin, he was not able to give Shakur Stevenson. Like if footwork is your thing and boxing on the outside is your thing, you're gonna have to find a new thing to beat a guy like Shakur Stevenson, right? Because as far as that boxing on the outside shit and even on the inside now, the guy is really good. He's really, really good. And to beat him, you're just gonna have to be special. But that word special, it made me think of something, man. And it's just the way my mind works. Like when I see um so-called boxing fans, so-called boxing fans talking down on the sport, right? Talking down on fighters that they don't deem entertaining enough, right? Fighters that don't produce enough knockouts, right? Then you tend to see these crowds they start becoming ravenous, right? These crowds start becoming ravenous, but we got to get this out of the land of entertainment and back into the land of sports, right? This is sports. This ain't about, yeah, you're being entertained, but your entertainment, we got to constantly be making sure that we're checking ourselves to make sure the entertainment that we get from this thing is coming from a healthy place. Like I'm starting to see so-called boxing channels like slamming and roasting fighters because they don't have a fan friendly style, right? But as boxers, these guys are untouchable, right? As boxers, what they're paid to do, they're paid to go in there and be boxers. These guys are unfucking touchable. But you got a certain group who, because they don't like that, they don't like the fact that you can't be touched. They want to. It's pretty annoying, you know. Now they want to say, "Oh, his defense is too good." Now they want you to give up your advantages, give up your bonus, right? I bet you can't beat me without all that good defense, huh? Right? So then you're supposed to go in and start fighting with your hands down, i.e., Devin Haney, right? I.e., Devin Haney in his last fight. He fell for the bullshit. He started standing right in front of a guy who outweighed him, outweighed him on fight night, a guy who was loaded with PEDs, and Devin Haney looked standing right in front of him with his hands down, right? Taking left hook after left hook. Right? That's what the way that you know that that's what they want is because look at how they reacted when Devin Haney did it. When Devin Haney fell right for the trap that they set, look how they reacted. They didn't react with shame and say, I was rooting for Ryan and he got caught cheating, and no, there was none of that. You know what they said? Hey, we already saw what happened. We saw it now, so that's all they wanted. That's all they wanted. So I know a lot of people are saying, well, why are you talking about Devin Haney? It relates. That's why I'm talking about it. It relates. That's why I'm talking about this shit. You know, when industries when they start getting like this, to where people don't respect what's good about the industry, like people are not here to watch boxing to watch good defense or to watch head movement right? Pause. To watch, you know, to watch guys working off the jab. They're not here to watch 12-round fights. We got so-called boxing fans like hating on fighters for going the distance. And I gotta tell you, man, whenever it gets like that, you're making a way for the end of. I was about to say sport, but it's not even about the sport. It's about any industry. Any industry that starts resorting to gimmicks and uh, things more than what the talent can deliver. That's the beginning of the end of your sport. The first thing I thought about is the circus industry, right? The circus used to be a big, 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 big time part of American culture, right? And entertainment. The traveling circus, the circus was a big fucking thing, right? Um, these business. I mean, it's a business, right? If you owned a circus, that was a way for you to, make a lot of money, basically. If you bankrolled a circus, you paid all the performers and everything, and you sold snacks and drinks and tickets, and you selling all this stuff, and you able. That's a good way to make a good amount of money, right? Eat per show. So you can imagine the pressure on these guys to keep the show entertaining, right? You need better clowns, you need better acrobats, you need better this, better that, better strongmen, better animals, right? Um, the pressure's always on to deliver more, right? And it started to become, yeah, I have researched this. It took the circus out of the realm of talent, right? And into a more darker place, a more fucked up place, right? Because you got these elite business guys, and they're resorting to uh, other tactics to create a good show, right? So instead of some clown who just has a natural talent for being a clown, and is naturally good with children, no, they start creating clowns. I'm not gonna get too deep into that, but um, yeah, like once the thing you want to do with your industry is focus on the talent. Always focus on the talent. If we take a gander over there to the NBA, they're starting to do the same thing. Now, you got all these talented players, right? All these talented athletes. But instead of just relying on that, now we're going off to rely on gimmicks. Like this guy's playing with his son, so yeah, let's do whatever it takes to get his son to the league, and like all this fuck shit, all this fuckery. The talent should be good enough. If the talent's not good enough, that's the problem right there. So if the talent's not good enough, the focus needs to be, let's get the talent back where it needs to be. Not, hey, let's come up with some gimmick to keep people watching. We need more knockouts, right? We need more of this, we need more of that. No, it ain't about that. It ain't about that, right? Now I'm saying all that to say Shakur Stevenson is a very talented fighter, right? I haven't always been on board with Shakur Stevenson. As far as his boxing, I've always been on board with Shakur Stevenson. I did not like some of the stuff that was coming out in the between him and Devin Haney. Did not like it. Did not like it. And I'm not one of the biggest. I'm not the biggest. Oh, he's on code. He's off code. I'm not the biggest guy as it pertains to that. I am like within myself. Like I'm never gonna. I have a code. I have a personal code, right? And I don't break it for nothing to nobody. But as far as like being on code with other men and all that, other people, that shit is hit or miss, because I realized that a lot of guys out here, they just winging it. Like if you're not tethered to God, then why do I need to be on code with you? You ain't tethered to nothing. You only tethered to your own feelings. So I feel no need to be on code with nobody like that. Like we don't have to have the same ideas. We don't have to have the same nothing, but we got to be tethered to the same thing, right? We not gonna always uh, what's the word I'm looking for? We're not always gonna transcribe with the information that we given the same way. Even if we have tethered to the same God, we're gonna translate it differently. That's fine. That's fine. But you just can't be connected and call yourself brothers with any old body. Like you don't know what motherfuckers believe in, or if they believe in anything, right? So yeah, I didn't like how Shakur Stevenson came out at first, in the Devin Haney stuff to lead up. I thought it was a little for those guys to be friends at some point. I didn't like it, right? But then after the Ryan Garcia Devin Haney thing, I saw Shakur Stevenson do something weird, which is what? Stay on code, right? Stay on code. Stay on code. Fuck staying on code. Like I said, it ain't about the race and all of that because like that shit, trust me, people will let you down. If you're doing it for the race and you want to, and that's what it's all about. Just stand by. You haven't lived enough, clearly, because those same people will let you down. But no, all Stevenson did was stand on code for boxing. How about that? Stand on code for boxing, right? But that's what you do when you're relying on talent. Like guys that rely on talent, they don't want to see a bunch of cheaters in here. So I did appreciate Shakur Stevenson's comments. It's not about him and Devin Haney becoming bosom buddies or none of that. It ain't about none of that. They ain't gotta become friends. None of that. Just stand on code for the sport. Stand on code for that thing that's bigger than you. Stand on code for that. Right? Um, I do think it's interesting that now that we gotta have this conversation, like it's interesting how certain fighters are referred to as boring and they're runners and they do this and do that, but then other fighters aren't. Very interesting. Like I've never heard anybody call Alexander Usyk boring, but Alexander Usyk is not a knockout artist. Alexander Usyk is not a big puncher. He can't punch like that. He can't. Like, he don't get me wrong. He's a fighter, right? He's a professional boxer. If he punch you in the face, he can hurt you. But in regards to other fighters and comparing him to other fighters, he is not a big fucking puncher. He's not. He moves around a lot, right? And he does a lot of pity pat type shit. But you never hear people calling Usyk boring. You never hear people calling Lomachenko boring. And guess what? I don't think they're boring either. Why? Because I'm a fan of the fucking sport. Do I like knockouts? Yes. Do I prefer fighters that get knockouts? Yes. But the reason why I can appreciate those guys is because I have a grasp on the whole sport. And I know that every fighter ain't like that. I don't expect every fighter to be like that. I don't know if you might want to rewind that. The reason why I can appreciate the knockout punchers, the knockout guys, the guys who get a lot of knockouts, the big punchers in boxing, I can appreciate them is because I know that that's not normal, right? It's more than one type of fighter. There's a lot of fighters who are excellent fighters and are not knockout punchers. They're not big knockout fighters. But guess what? They're still good because it's more paths to victory in boxing than just knockouts. Like how do people elevate Muhammad Ali to such a level, but then discredit fighters who aren't knockout fighters. Muhammad Ali was not a big puncher. That wasn't how he beat you. That just shows the difference in people now versus then. Everybody wants this instant gratification. Yeah, and I get it. Like my top 3 pound for pound fighters, which who gives a fuck? It's my personal list, but this is my channel, so I get to talk about it. But other than that, I don't give a fuck about no pound for pound list or nobody else's. But since you're here, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Mine is Terrence Crawford, Artur Beterbiev, and then Naoya Inoue. All are what? Power punchers. It's true. But that ain't why they on my list. I mean, that's part of it, but that ain't the end all be all. It's not the end all be all. Like I was not a fan of Deontay Wilder. And he could punch like a motherfucker, right? So it ain't just about punching, clearly. Not with me. Not with me. But it's interesting who gets the hate for being boring and who doesn't. But shout out to Shakur Stevenson. He doesn't seem to be letting that bullshit affect him in any way. I think what Devin Haney went through in his last fight kind of showed Shakur Stevenson everything he needed to see. Right? You can't pander to a group like that. The pandering that you do is never going to be repaid. Like they're never going to repay you with loyalty or anything. Right? The only thing it's going to do is have them waiting on you to go through that same moment. And that's pretty much it. But anyway, if you like the video, bang off on that like button one time. Peace.